Coping with COVID and In It Together present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.
Happy Wednesday. It's Wellness Wednesday, and It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do you need sunscreen if you have dark skin, African American, Latinos? Well, we'll talk about that with Heather Mitchell from Yellow Moon Aesthetics. She's going to share with us the answer to that question and show us some actual before and afters. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. Heather, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Plus, we're going to hear from some people who have experienced skin cancer, sarcoma, and share great tips on what to say and do for those who are going through cancer treatment. Sherry Norris and Kim Neal with Alayla Cancer Society. That is coming up next and more on Coping with COVID. But first, a COVID community update. Are you like me and delayed your mammogram due to COVID? Well, the CDC encourages you, especially if you have cancer in your family or as young as 40, to get your exam, and cautions women who have had the vaccine that because it can cause swollen lymph nodes under your arms, those may show up in your mammogram. So what should you do? Well, the CDC says you should get your mammogram before your vaccine or at least 4 weeks afterwards. With back to school in just a few weeks, districts are releasing their plans to keep students, staff, and faculty safe. COVID numbers are up in South Carolina. Districts are not allowed to mandate masks, but the American Academy of Pediatrics still recommends that families pack and encourage their children to wear a mask. Mine do. Meanwhile, the CDC says emergency authorization for vaccinations for those under 12 may come as early as this winter. And new buses are coming to Columbia, South Carolina. The Comet bus system has received an almost $3 million grant to purchase low or no emission buses. Now, this as the agency works to improve air quality. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID vaccination and tests in South Carolina. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. Also, vets are being handled by the VA. Check the screen for more information. If you are a veteran, you will go to the VA to get your COVID vaccination. Now, COVID vaccinations are also being done at several retail outlets, including Kroger pharmacies, and also CVS. Now, the CVS that are located in Target stores are also offering the COVID vaccination. Online registration for seniors is being offered by Get Set Up. Seniors and anyone having some challenges making their COVID-19 vaccination appointment can call the number and get set up. And don't miss your shot. The Comet is not only offering free rides to get your vaccination, they're also offering vaccinations at the Comet bus system at the corner of Laurel and Sumter Streets in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, did you lose someone due to COVID? Well, FEMA is continuing to give reimbursement for COVID funeral expenses. Check the screen, contact the number or the email address, and make sure you fill out the form. Bill assistance from richlandcountysc.gov is still going on. You can log on to that website and get information about not only rental assistance, but bill payment assistance. And they just released the information that there are still funds available. Dominion and SC Housing also have a bill payment assistance program. Make sure you log on to that website or contact Dominion Energy for more information. They also offer a frontline workers home buying program. The City of Columbia is continuing their 6-month payment plan for water bill. Plus, they'll give you payment assistance up to 75% off. The ACA open enrollment is still going on. You've got about a month left. August 15th is the deadline for the ACA enrollment. And if you have already gotten your insurance, make sure you log on to that website anyway, because there are additional benefits that you may qualify for. Also, don't forget about the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. They have launched SC Hopes to help people cope with COVID. Make sure that you are taking advantage of all of these free resources. Now, throughout the show, check the bottom of the screen. We will be scrolling information about everything that we just talked about, plus detailed information city by city in South Carolina where you can get your COVID vaccination right now. Coping with COVID presents Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. Listen, if you are interested in a diabetes prevention program, check out the In It Together website and Facebook page for more information. We're actually streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. And like I said, check out the page periodically for all of the great information that they share. We're also streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there and hit like and share and follow. Not only will you get notifications as to when to check out Coping with COVID, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 o'clock, and first Monday with comedian George Wallace, but there are also so many great resources over there. We also have a presence on Instagram, and we're streaming live on YouTube. So hello to all of you YouTubers. Listen, please continue to like, share, and follow so that we can get this message to the masses. And don't forget, you can also comment in the comment sections. As a matter of fact, I want to say hi to Jerome Williams. He says, "Hey, Trey, that was one of my, I guess it was my only, I was going to, no, two. I had two. I was going to say my only high school sweetheart, but I had to." That's Jerome Williams. Hey there, Jerome. Thank you so much for watching. Keisha Hayes. Hey there, beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. She tagged Karina Griffin. Ladies, gentlemen, please post and share, because listen, we're talking about skin issues for Black and brown people. And it's a big myth that people with more melanin, Black and brown people, don't need to worry about skin exposure. Well, tell that to African Americans who have experienced skin cancer and other skin problems. Heather Mitchell with Yellow Moon Aesthetics joins us to provide info on how and what we should do in the sun. And she actually has some great pictures that she's going to share with us about people who have actually experienced skin damage due to the sun and other concerns for African Americans. Thank you, Heather, so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So listen, here's the big question. The elephant in the room is, should Black and brown folk wear sunscreen?
The answer to that is yes. As a licensed esthetician and just even as a brown girl myself, I grew up with the notion that because my skin was a little bit darker, that I was more protected from the sun because my skin absorbed the sun. But what I didn't realize was that my skin was also absorbing the harmful UVA and UVB rays that come with skin damage. So yes, Black and brown people definitely need to be wearing sunscreen.
Right. Lynette Wheeler says, yes, we should wear sunscreen. Also want to say hi to Sherry Norris with Alayla. She says they're watching. We're going to talk to the folks from Alayla in the next segment. Thank you so much for that information, Heather, because I don't think, are you hearing that same thing from people who come to you that say, oh, I don't wear sunscreen. I didn't know I needed it.
Yes, almost with every skin consultation that I do, because when going into a corrective series, I always want to make sure that I'm consulting with my clients. And one of the key consulting questions that I ask is, well, are you wearing sunscreen? And if so, how often? And usually the answer is, well, I wear sunscreen when like I go to the beach or if I'm like out in the sun a lot, but on a day-to-day basis, no, I don't wear it. So then I have to kind of go in and re-educate them on why sunscreen is important.
Well, tell us, when and where should Black and brown folks wear sunscreen?
All day, every day, as long as the sun is out. So here's my rule of thumb with my clients. When I send them their skin regimen, I usually will put to apply your sunscreen first thing in the morning. You want to reapply your sunscreen every 2 to 3 hours because after a while, it won't be as effective. So I usually tell them to carry one in their purse. Sometimes they have spray sunscreens that you can spray over your makeup if you're a makeup wearer. And even if it's raining, the sun is still there, so you still need to be wearing sunscreen even if there is an overcast.
Wow, that's big because, again, I'm thinking, because when you said all the time when there's sun, we're not thinking if it's raining or if it's overcast, it's sunny. You're saying when it's daytime.
Yeah, when it's daytime, because if you think about it, if you were to push the clouds away, the sun is still
It's
there.
still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one, Heather. Whether you push the crowds away or not, the sun is still there. Heather Mitchell with Yellow Moon Aesthetics is joining us today. In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Trey Taylor, and we were talking about sarcoma, skin cancer, skin issues for Black and brown people. And Heather just told us that the sun is out even when the clouds are out. So you need to be wearing sunscreen. How much sunscreen do we need?
So a good rule of thumb, and I actually bought some products so that you guys can see.
Okay,
but
great.
A good rule of thumb, my favorite sunscreen is actually this one because it's clear. So it's really good for people who have melanin. So it's a very popular little trick that people are showing. But
now, what kind of sunscreen is that, Heather?
Now, this is the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen.
Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. Okay.
And this is a SPF 40.
Okay.
So the amount that you want to wear is about 2 finger lengths. Okay. And as you can see, it's completely clear. So it's not going to show up on the skin.
So are we putting it on our bodies and on our faces?
Yes, you want to cover your face, your neck, your ears, and I even use a hand sunscreen to cover my hands when I'm driving.
Now, here's the question. You mentioned, women or men, whoever wears makeup. Are we putting it on before or after our makeup?
So what I suggest for my clients is to put it on before and to get a spray sunscreen so that you can reapply it after. But there are some makeup brands that actually offer a powder SPF that they can use to reapply.
Right. And I was going to ask that too. Is it enough if we are wearing a makeup with sunscreen in it?
It's enough to cover you for the 2 to 3 hours that you have it on. But again, reapplication is definitely going to be important because the effectiveness isn't going to be as good as it was when you first applied it. So let's say you applied it at 8 a.m., then you probably are going to want to reapply at about 11.
Wow. So here's my other question, Heather. Do we need to do this even if we are, like a lot of people, working from home, so not even going out? I mean, they may go out once or twice during the day, but those of us who work from home still need it, even if we're going out? So are you saying if we go outside, we need sunscreen?
If you go outside, you need sunscreen. And if you're inside working from a computer, you also need sunscreen.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Because of the light?
Because of the light in and of itself. Like if you're sitting next to a window, definitely, because windows actually magnify the intensity of the sun. It's kind of like putting a magnifier on top of an ant and watching it kind of like burn. It's similar to that, but also we are starting to learn in our industry that there are things that are happening to people's skin with blue light damage that's coming from our computer screens and our phone screens. So now some sunscreen companies are actually getting ingredients that are actually helping to protect us against blue light as well.
Wow, Heather, what you are saying is a game changer for people because, like you said, I mean, not only, well, if you're staying in, you need sunscreen because the sun is still out. and like you said, it's coming in and being magnified. Wow. Heather Mitchell is with us with Yellow Moon Aesthetics, and she is dropping some major information today on Wellness Wednesday on Coping with COVID. Thank you so much for joining us. Barbara Bowman is tuned in from Sumter. Thank you so much. And Alexis Raven Mills says they're watching from Alayla. Super excited. We're looking forward to the conversation too. I want to go to a couple of pictures that you shared with us, Heather. Now, this is one of your clients that has acne and sun damage. Now, you said this is something very common. Tell us about this.
So with this client, she actually was trying to find an esthetician. She's actually from Florida, believe it or not. So she was traveling every 2 weeks to come in to South Carolina from Florida. And she was experiencing really, really bad hormonal acne. But what she was also experiencing, as you can see with the dark spots and the pustules, she was also experiencing some sun damage as well. So in the areas where she was having acne, once the acne would sort of leave, it would leave a dark spot. And because she wasn't wearing sunscreen, those dark spots actually got darker. So we had to really go in and correct not only the acne, but the sun damage that was caused by that.
Wow. So is acne, when you have acne, as you said, she had acne and then the sun just further damaged it. So does that mean that acne makes sun damage worse?
It can make sun damage worse, but honestly, it's actually the other way around. Sun damage can actually make your acne worse.
Wow. Wow. So if you're having some acne, you need to be even more conscientious about wearing sunscreen. So is there a specific sunscreen for acne sufferers?
So there actually is. There's a brand called Face Reality that I use in my studio. And they actually created a SPF 30. It's called their Ultimate Protection. And that's a sunscreen that's for acneic people because it doesn't have a lot of oils in it. So it won't cause any, you know how sometimes you can get kind of that gritty feeling or your skin feels really oily. It's more oil free. There's also another brand by the name of Image Skincare that has an oil-free SPF 50 moisturizer that's good for acne clients as well.
Right. We're talking to Heather Mitchell with Yellow Moon Aesthetics. We've been talking about skin damage, sun damage, skin cancer, sarcoma in Black and brown people. This is a client that she had. We're looking at the pictures now that had acne and sun damage. And Heather says that those two combined make for a terrible situation. So you talk about SPF. As Black and brown folks, is there a limited, the minimum SPF? What should we be looking at?
So the minimum SPF, and this is your standard rule of thumb, 25 to 50.
Okay.
So anywhere between 25 and 50 is good. Anything over 50, honestly, is just going to more so be like a scam because the sun protection factor, which is what SPF stand for, only goes up to a certain amount. So things that are advertised as SPF 75 or SPF 100 are still going to give you the same amount of protection as an SPF 50.
So Heather, should you do more SPF if you're a lighter complexion? Should I use more should I use a 50 and you use a 25? Or honestly, we both need a 50.
We both need a 50 and we both need a 25. So regardless of where you are on the Fitzpatrick scale or where you are as far as how light you are, how dark you are, that same rule is going to apply 25 to 50.
Wow. Wow. All right. So let's talk a little bit about skin cancer. How common is it in African Americans and Latinas? Because I have heard that it wasn't very common. And then, of course, my son got hit with it 2 years ago. And, and now I'll tell you, we do have breast cancer in our family. Both of my sisters had breast cancer, but, this skin cancer thing, and he's pretty fair skinned, was just and he was out in Vegas. So, so how common is it?
So in our community, it's not as common, but what I've been researching and finding out is that as the years are progressing, it's starting to become more common and that people are starting to realize that they did have skin cancer, but it just went undiagnosed.
Wow.
So a lot of times we just have to really check in with our dermatologists. You want to make sure that if you see spots on your body, that you are documenting them and that you are looking and making sure that are they asymmetrical? Is the border, does it, there's an ABCDE sort of rule of thumb that you can look up online that kind of gives you an idea as to how to look for any skin cancer or melanoma or anything like that. But what you want to do is if you do think that you have it, go see your esthetician because we'll be able to kind of identify it, but definitely go see your dermatologist because they'll be able to treat it.
So we're looking for anything abnormal that's on our skin. And is that our face and our body?
Face and body. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that Bob Marley actually had a melanoma, and it was
Yes, he
between his
did.
toes.
Mm.
That's the rumor. It was between his
Right.
toes.
Yes. That's what I read too. Yeah, that's what I read. Amelia Butler Mackey, which Amelia, I want to tell you, me and my assistants were just talking about you and Faith yesterday. Anyway, Amelia says, literally just bought sunscreen, have always used it with my family. She says, this is good information.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Amelia. Please post and share this information out because, there is a misnomer that as African Americans, we don't need sunscreen. And as you say, we're looking, we just looked at this client of yours. It is prevalent among Black and brown people. Heather is with us, Heather Mitchell. She's with Yellow Moon Aesthetics here in Columbia, South Carolina. And we've been talking about skin damage and sun damage. Here's another one of your clients, Heather, who has had some really bad sun damage. Tell us about this client.
So this client came in with hyperpigmentation concerns. And from the moment that she came in, I again asked her, I said, hey, how often are you wearing sunscreen? And she said, well, I apply it in the morning and that's about it. And so I told her, I said, okay, well, we're going to have to get you on a regimen, of course, with cleansers, exfoliants, toners, and serums. But the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway that I tell my clients is that sunscreen is non-negotiable. If you want to get everything else, but you don't want to purchase the sunscreen, I won't sell it to you.
Wow.
Because I want to make sure that my clients understand the importance of sunscreen. And if any of my clients are on here, they can tell you that I am a stickler for making sure that they wear their sunscreen. But with her, we started getting her on a regimen. She started applying her sunscreen every 2 hours. And every 3 hours, I think she said every 3 hours. And literally, as you can see from the pictures, we were able to really lighten the pigmentation. And I can honestly say that we didn't have to do any sort of chemical, like heavy chemical peels or anything.
Yeah.
This was just with her home care and just some really good enzymatic treatments.
Wow. So this is the type of sun damage that you can experience from exposure because it just looks like darkening. Did she have acne first also or no?
Yes. So all of those scars that you see came from acne when it came up, and then when it went away, it became dark spots. But because she wasn't reapplying that sunscreen, they started getting darker.
Wow. So how do you know I know you said we've got to really be conscientious of different changes in our skin and our body. How do we know? Is that how we first know that we may have sun damage or some kind of skin condition?
So the best way to know is like if you look at a pimple, let's say I get a pimple over here and it gets dark and it starts to get darker. And then you start noticing more dark spots. That's kind of how you're able to gauge whether or not you have sun damage. But honestly, if you have any sort of hyperpigmentation, if an esthetician looks at it under a woods lamp, which kind of amplifies through blue light, we can actually see it where it's embedded deep into the skin, like underneath the epidermis.
Wow. Amelia Mackey just says such good information. How do we get in touch with Heather Moon and Heather Mitchell at Yellow Moon Aesthetics? There's the logo, Amelia, and everyone watching, and her information is on the screen because she is sharing some amazing information for us today. So what do you do afterwards? So you realize you've got the skin damage, you go to you, and is it just a matter of continuing to wear sunscreen, Heather, or are there some other things folks need to do?
So outside of wearing sunscreen, which of course is important, it's also just really important to just have a good skincare routine. But of course, that skincare routine is going to include your sunscreen. You can always see an esthetician like myself, so that way you can go in and get treatments if you have acne, if you have sun damage, if you have rosacea and things like that, just so that way it's just optimal skin health.
Yeah. Now you mentioned rosacea. This is a client of yours that had rosacea. And is that just like the redness around her cheeks?
The redness around her cheeks, the redness that's on her forehead and her chin. And she was actually someone who was wearing sunscreen. But what we found out was that I think she said that the sunscreen she was wearing was like an SPF 15. So she wasn't getting
Weren't
enough
enough.
protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I mean, why even make a sunscreen if it doesn't help anybody, you know?
Right. Most SPF 15s that I see are usually in like lip balms and things like that. But
Okay.
I think the sunscreen that she might have had might have been, you know, more like a drugstore brand and not necessarily like an actual sunscreen brand.
Right. This is the product that you mentioned. You were talking about the Super Goop, and that's the product that is transparent, right? That you said was good for makeup wearers. So yeah, that's great. So listen, is there anything other than sunscreen? And I guess, and I was going to say staying in the house, but not even staying in the house is going to prevent it, according to you, Heather. So we can't prevent it other than making sure we have a good skin regimen. And you mentioned that. What is that in addition to wearing sunscreen? Because girl, I'm notorious for not washing my face at night. I know that sounds nasty.
It's okay. It's okay. But what I can say is that in addition to wearing sunscreen, you can definitely wear hats and visors. Those are definitely going to help as well. Could kind of just, you know, keep the sun out of your face.
Yeah.
My husband loves wearing hats, so he's definitely protected between sunscreen and wearing hats. But just a good skincare regimen. I always tell people a really good cleanser that is going to help treat your skin type, as well as a toner, which is going to help balance the pH in the skin. A good hydrating and corrective serum, which is going to be a good vitamin C. This kind of like the standard rule of thumb, a good vitamin C, a moisturizer that's going to also help. There's actually a moisturizer that Supergoop makes, and it's their daily moisturizer SPF 40. So it looks like this, and it comes in a jar, and it's a lot of product, and this is going to be your moisturizer and your SPF.
Wow, that's cool. That's really great. Want to say hi to Jimmy Boone. Said Felicia, and I guess he tagged Felicia Snyder and she must have had some sun damage information, because she says, Jimmy Boone, I've definitely learned my lesson. We're glad you did, Felicia. We're talking to Heather Mitchell with Yellow Moon Aesthetics. If you want more information, there's Heather, and there's Felicia Daniels, who works with, is that Felicia Daniels? Yeah, Kiara Daniels, that works with her at Yellow Moon. Her information is on the screen if you need more information. Oh, there was one more person there was one more video that I wanted to show before we left, and this was really a very severe case. Let's watch it, and then you can tell us what we watched.
Okay.
Okay, so tell us about that. That was one of your clients.
So that was one of my clients. He's actually, I call him my most famous client. He's kind of the reason why I started to get more traction in my business. He came in with severe sun damage, as you could see. It was to the point where it kind of made a cast over his face, because sometimes we don't realize how bad sun damage can get until our skin starts to clear and we're using products that are helping. So what we ended up doing was, it took 13 months for us to really clear his skin. So I always tell people when they come in, I can't do anything overnight. I'm not a miracle worker. But what I can do is educate you to where you can get to a point where your skin can be to your satisfaction. And we spent 13 months really just working on treating his skin. And now he is literally an advocate for wearing sunscreen. On his social media pages, he'll show like him applying his sunscreen, and he'll apply it all over, because again, it's about educating and letting other brown people know that you need the sunscreen. But that was just a really, really heavy case of sun damage, and again, some acne that was amplified by that sun damage.
Wow. Heather Mitchell is with Yellow Moon Aesthetics. Check her out for more information. Her contact information is on the screen. Thank you, Heather, so much for joining us. This was such amazing information, so eye-opening. And we appreciate not only you coming on, but sharing the information and all the work that you're doing in our community. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Coming up, Alayla Cancer Society co-founder Sherry Norris and Kim Neal discuss their unique boutique for survivors, their personal cancer stories, and great advice on what to say and what to do for those who are going through that and more coming up next on Coping with COVID. You're watching Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. We'll be right back.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic, and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by SCDHEC. Visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing and vaccination sites and info to help protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Visit columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, visit Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. The Comet Bus System, a fast, fun, friendly transit system that can take you anywhere you want to go in the Midlands. So don't miss your shot. Catch the Comet and get a free ride to get your COVID vaccine. Visit catchthecomet.gov. Javis Tax Services, South Carolina's premier full-service financial provider with over 20 years of experience. Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. And Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. Call Daniel for honest, professional, reliable, and knowledgeable computer sales and service. Coping with COVID from SCDHEC. In It Together, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Services, the Comet Bus System, Palmetto Media Connections, Javis Financial Services, and Computers Unique.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there and gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
You can eat what's good to you and good for you, too.
Yes.
Get the Dash for Southern Soul Cookbook free. All you have to do is ask. It's packed with delicious Southern-style recipes with a healthy twist.
Yummy.
You won't be able to taste the difference, but you will be able to feel the difference.
Yeah.
Inbox your email address to the In It Together or Tailor Made Productions Facebook page, and you'll get it straight to your mailbox. The Dash for Southern Style Cookbook and a Coping with COVID face mask. From In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, and Coping with COVID.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday life, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Let Palmetto Painting Services take the worry out of your next home painting project. We can paint anything. Our business is about interior painting and exterior painting. We offer services for residential and commercial properties. Restore the life to your home with a fresh coat of paint from Palmetto Painting Services. References are available upon request. Give us a call at 803-546-4570 today.
In It Together, SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Trey Taylor. Hey, don't forget to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses, because today we're talking about skin cancer and sarcoma. And we have Sherry Norris and Kim Neal join us today, and they are with Alayla. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Before we get into professional stories about skin cancer and other types of cancers, I want you to share how you even started the organization. First, tell me what Alayla is.
Alayla is actually from Greek mythology. It is what Athena would scream out when she would go to war. So it's a feminine war cry, and it's our war cry against traditional sales and service for post-surgical cancer patients.
Oh, wow.
So, and we provide breast prosthesis bras, compression garments, cranial prosthesis, stuff like that.
Right. So this is really a great resource for mostly women who have had some cancer issues and trying to help them identify and find the things that they need, whether it be bras or other types of things. You say compression.
Compression, right. And that's when we typically work with men as well for the compression, especially men that have been diagnosed with skin cancer and have significant surgery. A lot of times that affects their lymphatic system and causes some swelling. So we provide them with either a compression arm sleeve or compression vest to help with that.
Wow. Yeah. My son was diagnosed with skin cancer about 2 years ago, and he had a lot of problems, and it primarily affected his lower extremities. So we had a hard time. I wish I had known about Alayla, because we had a difficult time finding comfortable compression socks.
Right.
So, I mean, he could find some. I think maybe they were mostly sports, which is different than if you do have some type of skin cancer. That's the other thing we found, because they were so uncomfortable.
Right. And so like the sports ones are the ones that are over the counter. They're usually a lot of times fit by your shoe size. And if you think about it, if I weighed 500 pounds and wore a size 7 shoe, or I weighed 125 pounds and wore a size 7 shoe, my legs are going to be completely different in size. Exactly. And so that's where we come in and we measure for all of these different things to make sure that the sizing is correct, not just by the shoe.
Yeah,
and we're custom fitters, so we're certified too by like a number of companies, so we can get you custom garments if you are like outside of the norm.
Right. And they do come in men and women's.
That is awesome, Sherry and Kim, that you provide this service through Alayla. I love that it's a Greek war cry. So she was screaming around, Alayla, Alayla.
Yeah. And we do it a lot.
Is that what you do? Do you start the day by walking in the building saying, Alayla?
Sometimes we are calling our senators and our representatives and saying, Alayla, we have these bills that you need to sponsor for us.
Oh, girl. Yeah, that's a whole different story and a whole different topic and show for another day. But I love that you all even started the business. I love the story. Can you share it for us, please?
Sure.
Go ahead, Kim.
If you don't mind, it kind of throws you.
No, we were volunteer Girl Scout leaders at a camp, and I needed a stapler, and Sherry, whom I had never met, came up and she said, well, I just happen to have a stapler in my bag. So that's God wink number one. And she slid it over and she leaned in.
Somebody would be walking around with a stapler. Yeah, sure.
Right, in their purse. So she slid it into me and she said, you know, you're too big chested not to be wearing a bra. She goes, I know you have cancer, and I was like, girl, I can't stand anything touching, you know, the chest here. And I was wearing a big old pink sweatshirt. She goes, I'll show you. We'll find something. And we went shopping, and the first place we went, that following Thursday, we went shopping and walked in, and the chick was smoking a cigarette, washing the windows on oxygen. And Sherry looked at me and I looked at her, and I keep in mind, we didn't know each other very well. I mean, at all, to be like getting down and like dirty like this. And I came out of the fitting room after getting some very itchy suggestions that there's no way. It was an underwire with itchy,
and it wasn't her size. It's what they had in stock. And I told Kim, I said, did you just go in that fitting room and have to get undressed without even knowing the lady's name? How cheap do you feel? Because I mean, that really, as a cancer survivor, and going in and revealing something so personal, such as your surgery site, to someone, you need to have that rapport with them so they feel comfortable taking their clothes off. And basically she just said, just go in that room and take your clothes off. I'll be there in a minute. I was like, what?
Well,
she's like, see?
I can't. I'm surprised that when you saw a woman smoking on a respirator, you guys didn't turn around right there.
Well, my mom had died like the year before from COPD, so I was just like, this is just part of it. So Sherry and I left, and I was in tears, and of course sympathy tears from Sherry, and so and then we went someplace else, and Sherry had to come get me out of the fitting room because I got stuck in the garment they put me in. And there was nobody, and nobody was answering the call. So we just sat down and wrote a business plan, submitted to the University of South Carolina incubator, and we're the first woman-owned business to graduate from the incubator. Wow. And that was 15 years ago. So we're pretty.
So let me ask you, Sherry and Kim, after that, so how did you get from recognizing that there's a problem, there's an issue, there's a need? Because listen, I think we see needs around all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's
absolutely another thing to then go to the next level and say, this is a need I can fill, and maybe the universe, God, whatever you believe in, hamburgers, hot dogs, whatever it is, for you to say, I can fill this need. How did that conversation, and when did that conversation?
I really think it's because of we're Girl Scout leaders, and I mean, it's been drilled in us for so many years to make the world a better place. And having that experience, we wanted that for other people. And I come from a long line of cancer survivors, and my aunt at the 2 years before that had been suffering from breast cancer for many years, and she wasn't supposed to live for a year, and she ended up living for 10.
Wow.
And I just couldn't imagine where she would go. And so I had always thought about, like, where would she go, because she's so private. And it is such a private moment.
It is.
And
it's a private, personal, emotional moment.
It is. And so when Kim was going through that, that's why I kind of reached out to her, because I knew what a challenge it was for my aunt. And I was like, well, let's just see what's around here. Mm-hmm. And so happened to have a stapler in my purse. The good Lord put it there. I don't normally carry around staplers in my purse.
Going, let's make a deal that week, or what?
No, isn't that crazy? It's crazy.
She's got a MacGyver bag, though. It's huge.
That's the Girl Scout. That's the Girl Scout too in you, I think.
Yeah. And so we did. We just got together and we talked about it, and we're like, hey, let's start a business and see what happens. And 15 years later, here we are.
Wow, that is such an amazing story. I would love to get you guys to come back. We do a feature on Friday called Faith Friday, because I think that was definitely an act of faith. And I think your story would really help people that have an entrepreneurial spirit, or are starting a business, or thinking about starting a business, as a lot of people are right now post-COVID. I don't even know if we're post-COVID, but pre-post-COVID, so I would love to get you guys back on. So you start the business, you've got Alayla, and then Kim, you had not had cancer before, right? You had just had it in your family. I mean, Sherry.
Right. So I had just had it in my family. And so esophageal cancer hasn't skipped a generation in my mom's side of the family. And my mom is actually a bladder cancer survivor. So we just got done dealing with that. And of course, my aunt with breast cancer. So I was very familiar with it. I was familiar with a lot of people that once you're diagnosed with cancer, that your family and friends just kind of drop off. And I always try to explain to survivors, it's not because they don't love you, it's because they just don't know what to say. And it's been drilled in them from time and time again since they were little. If you don't have anything nice to say or don't know what to say, don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
Don't say anything. And so a lot of times, a lot of new survivors feel like outcasts because people don't know what to say. And so they just don't say anything at all.
Wow.
And so I've always been, oh, you've got cancer, you know.
Do you want to talk about it?
Do you want to talk about it? Or go shopping?
And Sherry hates to shop, so if she offers to take you shopping, that is huge.
It's a big thing, right?
No, right. I will go shopping in a heartbeat, so I'm your girl for that.
In it together, SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Trey Taylor, Sherry Norris, and Kim Neal are with us with Alayla, and they are a specialty shop in Columbia, South Carolina that caters to the needs of cancer survivors. They offer products and services specifically for cancer survivors. They can do special orders and all types of things. But you know, you raised such a good point, ladies, that cancer is so much more than the diagnosis and even the products and the services. It's the communication or lack of communication that you then have with other people, as you said, not knowing what to say. So let's talk about that a little bit. What do you, how would you, as both of you are cancer survivors, and Sherry, we're going to get a little bit more into your specific sarcoma, but what do you say, Kim? What would you want someone to say?
Do you know what? I would like someone to say to me, I'm coming to your house to clean your ceiling fans.
Because it's hard for you to reach up, right?
Because you can't lift your arms, and you spend so much time laying on your back healing, you know, or recouping.
You're laying on your back looking at the dirt on your ceiling fan.
No, but seriously, it's you know, I just want them to know that they're there. Yeah. Does that make sense? You know, just you know, I'm here, just, you know, and say it, and whatever their limitation and offering is. I think that just a card, notes, because you can read those over and over again, even when the person's not there. Just to say, hey, I'm here, I'm in your corner. And I think a lot of times people don't know what to say, so get a card and sign your name, you know, thinking of you. Yeah. It's not, I mean, I think when Sherry had her surgery, after she had her surgery, she had, you know, big red nose and stuff. And so we knew that she was probably not in the best place. So we all got red noses through the Walgreens campaign, and we wore the red noses and sent pictures of her, of us all. I don't know if you can see in that corner picture there on the right. Yeah, the red nose. That's what that is we're trying to cheer Sherry up to let her know that, you know, it's okay.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Sherry? And we're going to come back to your skin diagnosis, cancer diagnosis. But what was that great? Because here's the thing, Kim, I love that you guys all got red noses, but that could have gone either way.
It could have, yes.
But they know they have a really good sense of humor.
You have to know your audience, I guess, is the answer to that.
But one of the things too that we hear over and over again from cancer survivors is they'll post something on Facebook about their surgery or their diagnosis, and they get hundreds of comments on there. I'm praying for you. Let me know if there's anything that you need. That is almost like an insult, because you just say, I'm going to drop off dinner on Tuesday, because as a cancer survivor, you do not want to admit that there's something that you cannot do. You've already been diagnosed with cancer. That's the last thing that you want to say is, I can't cook dinner because I'm just not feeling good. And to put that out there on your perfect Facebook page, as I call them, that's very hard to do, to ask for help. And prayers, we all definitely need those, but the offer of just saying, let me know if you need anything, they're not going to let you know. Yeah, they're not. Yeah. And I mean, some people are good about it, but most women are not good about asking for help. And so you have to just call and say, I'm going to come over on Wednesday and clean your ceiling fans, or I'm going to come and bring you dinner and clean your kitchen, or do you need me to come over and do the laundry? I know it's hard for you to reach in to grab the wash out from the washing machine to the dryer. It's like things like that, very specific to ask. And if you don't have time to clean, order what Uber Eats. Send a meal over. Do it with a couple of friends so the financial aspect of it doesn't hit you hard. But it's those little things that we find are the most impactful for survivors during their journey.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good to know, because I mean, you're right. You posted, you've already taken the step to post it in public on social media, and you're right. You're going to get hundreds of well wishes.
Yes.
And whatever I can do, and then they don't do anything because, and in respect for the person, they're waiting, because you know what? Here's the thing. I think people don't want to impose. They
overwhelm the person.
Yeah, right. You know you're feeling bad. I don't want to just drop on in. But from the survivor standpoint, as you're saying, Sherry, you are feeling like you don't want it. You need it, but no one wants to ask for help. No one,
right?
Especially as women, we want to feel we're strong and invincible. Layla, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. My husband said to me, he said, "Why does everybody keep bringing us food?" I said, because if somebody offers, that's their way to make them feel good. Yeah. And I said, and sometimes you have to, I know that you're perfectly capable of cooking us dinner. You do it a lot of nights during the week. However, since I'm not feeling well, they need to feel needed. And you need to actually give people that opportunity to feel needed. It's just as important for them as it is for you as a cancer survivor. That you do have to think about others and how they're feeling, because they're scared they're going to lose you. Yeah. They don't know all the details. So they're scared they're going to lose their family member or their friend. And so they want to do something to be helpful, whether you need it or not. Just take the meal.
Yeah. I love that. That's such great information. Do what you can. Bring something. Or like you said, order some food. Order a cleaning service, or come and clean the fan. Sherry Norris and Kim Neal are with us there with Layla in it together, and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID, and we're talking about sarcoma and skin cancer. Sherry, after years of watching people in your family go through it and helping people like Kim go through cancer, you were diagnosed yourself with sarcoma, and we see the picture here on the Layla blog. What happened? Were you a sun worshiper?
Actually not. My husband will tell you that if you hop in the lake after I get in, you'll have just as enough sunscreen on as I do. But I am very fair skinned, so I've always have worn sunscreen. And I was just getting like a little pimple on my nose, and I noticed that it would like scab over, come off, but it would always come back. And so finally I was like, you know what? I probably need to get this checked. And, skin cancer grows, especially if it's the type of skin cancer I have. Usually it grows very slowly. I'm actually used to breast cancer and how quickly everybody responds. So it's kind of an eye opener for me. But I went to go get it checked. And when I did, they went ahead and did the biopsy, and it came back as basal cell. And so they were like, oh, well, we'll call you when we're going to do the Mohs procedure. And I was like, okay, you just told me I had cancer. You just told me I'm going to have some kind of surgery. I'm like, can you at least spell it? Because nobody was explaining anything to me as far as what was about to happen to me.
At the doctor's office?
Yes. And this is not unusual because, when you go into a dermatologist, my mom will tell you, and my dad, they both go, they come in with their sword and their blowtorch to get all the stuff off of you that you don't need so it doesn't turn into cancer. And so they called me and said the Mohs procedure. So of course I looked it up. And I love to watch surgery, so I watched multiple surgeries for that. And so I actually talked to them and said, when you're calling someone and you're telling them that you're going to do a procedure, you need to be able to explain it to them. Don't just hang up the phone and say, we're going to schedule it. Let's explain it to them. This is what we need.
What's getting ready to happen.
Right. And I'm like, okay.
Or at least offer it. Don't you think, Sherry? Because maybe someone may not want to know, but at least offer to tell me what is going on.
Exactly. And so, when I went in there, I'm thinking, okay, it's not going to be a big deal. They're just going to take a layer of skin off. And then you can see by the pictures that they actually went almost all the way down because at that point it had infiltrated. So it didn't stay just on the surface. It started going down, that it went far enough down that it almost went to my nasal cavity. And so instead of a basic closure, we had to go to the hospital to get put back together again. So
you had nose jobs, as the blog said.
Yes, how not to get a nose job. So it was supposed to be a simple procedure where I just show up at I saw Dr. Carlin as the plastic surgeon that I used. But it's supposed to be a simple procedure that I just showed up at his office afterwards and just do a few stitches. But he ended up having to move skin around to get it to close and deal with that. So, and it was just difficult because you can't wear makeup. It's in the middle of your face. You cannot hide it at all. And
Listen, you know what, Sherry, you should have had it during COVID. Too bad you couldn't have it during COVID. You could have worn it.
I mean, like, I can't turn my Zoom camera on. There's something missing. So I think that was the hardest part is your face it's your picture frame, and not being able to wear makeup and having such a large surgery site and the bruising and everything. And it took a good 8 to 10 months to really get it to go down. To
get it fully healed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that part was definitely difficult, but like we said, the office was really good about if we had to go in public or anything, because we had to a couple days after that surgery have a departure party for our interns that we use at the Mexican restaurant. And so I was like, I'm not going anywhere with my nose looking like this and that big white bandage. And they're like, no, you're not going to be alone. And then that's when they sent me the picture of all of them wearing their red noses. So I didn't feel like I stuck out when we went out to dinner.
I love that. It looked like you guys were at a clown convention, right?
I know.
I love that. But what you're saying is so indicative of what people do when they love and support you in your time of need, you know, and
yeah.
And that was great. Before we go, I do want to ask both of you how you emotionally get through something like this. Whether it's skin cancer or breast cancer, what do you say to someone to help them get through it emotionally? Because it's an emotional process, having lost your breasts, and so many times our breasts are what defines us as women. And then with you, Sherry, like you said, I mean, our nose is the centerpiece of our face. It's like I said, pre-COVID, there was nothing you could do to cover your face. You know, now we can, but before then, you know. So how?
Right. So the thing that I say a lot is, we hear a lot of why me's, and you know, I always say, why not you? Because there's always a lesson to be learned in everything, and it might not be your lesson to learn. Like I've said this a million times, that when my aunt went through breast cancer, I believe that the reason why she did not go that first year is because I had not learned my lesson yet. And I think she suffered for so long to get my curiosity up to where I was at a place where I recognized the need for breast prosthesis and bras and supplies for cancer patients in an environment that's not like a doctor's office. And I think that's what she did. So she suffered for me to have my lesson, to be able to help thousands of women, you know, after 15 years, you know, the legacy that she has given for me to help that many women and men throughout all these years has been tremendous. Does she know that? No, because she passed away, you know, but that's what gets me, that's what keeps me going, is even in trials that, and hurdles that we go through, that there's always a lesson, and you never know if it's yours or somebody else's. And I think that you should always hold on to that, because you're having to be strong because somebody else is watching, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I love that. Kim,
I think cancer is kind of a calling. I know that sounds terrible, and some days it's better than others, but I like to encourage two things for sure. One, when you're going through your journey, stay away from, you know, negative TV, negative, scary stuff. Stay with the comedies, the lighthearted stuff. On the internet, it's .org, .edu, .gov, you know, just those resources only. And then lastly, the thing, it's because it's hard. You don't realize that, like, the first time I had cancer, I didn't realize how easy a cancer I had because nobody told me. The second time I did it, I was like, oh, daggone, you know, that was training wheels, and now, you know, the wheels are off. And I think having a pity party, you know, taking 15 minutes out of the day to just blow your tears out, get out those emotions, you know, and then, you know, go for a walk and rake, or, you know, like my yard never looked better, you know, and that was like the last thing I should have been doing, but that was the best yard I ever had. Was the year, you know, after the diagnosis, just because nature nurtures.
Yeah.
And so we encourage folks to, you know, step out of their normal day to day and do what they have to do for them to get through it. Because everybody's got a, you know, different way of coping with things.
Oh, I love that. Stay close to nature, involve yourself and surround yourself with upbeat, lighthearted things. And remember, what is the lesson? What am I supposed to learn from this? Because everything, ladies, as you know, I don't have to tell you, is a life lesson. We just have to recognize what that lesson is, and then whether do better, be better, and share what those lessons are. Sherry
Absolutely.
Kim Neal with Alayla. I love that. I'm going to be screaming that throughout the day. Alayla.
Your war cry.
Yes, it's a war cry. I love that. Please, thank you so much for joining us. This has been such an interesting and enlightening conversation. You can see the website here, Alayla, ALALA.info, a unique boutique for today's survivors. Contact them, call them, log on to the website for more information about the services and products that they offer. And also check out the blog. You can read more about Sherry's skin cancer situation and other things that are on there, other topics of interest that are on the Alayla website. Sherry Nars, Kim Neal, thank you guys so much for joining us. And I do want to bring you back on a Faith Friday to talk about your entrepreneurial journey to launch Alayla.
Awesome. We would love to come back.
Thank you so much. All right. That was such an amazing interview with the ladies from Alayla, and we are so appreciative that they joined us today on Coping with COVID. Listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go over to the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook and inbox us. We would love to feature you. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreytaylor@gmail.com. The information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and we would love for you to be a proud sponsor of Coping with COVID, just like In It Together SC of the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Paint Services, Agape Counseling and Training Services, the Comet Bus System, Palmetto Media Connections, also Javis Tax Services, Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall, and the Richland and Kershaw County 5th District Solicitor's Office, which joins us every second Thursday here on Coping with COVID. Listen, coming up tomorrow, Thursday, pandemic SNAP benefits. We'll talk to Conley Ann Ragley with DSS to give us an update on those benefits that you've been getting if you've gotten SNAP benefits. Plus, City of Columbia Council candidate Heather Bauer as we continue our coverage of local, state, and national elections. Plus, Friday, comedian Mike Goodwin got 4 yeses on last night's America's Got Talent. Did you see his performance? Friday, he joins us to discuss what's next. Plus, veteran comedian and South Carolina native J. Anthony Brown gives advice to up-and-coming performers and tell us about what he's got on the plate coming up next. That's Friday on Coping with COVID. And then next Wellness Wednesday, water safely. I'm going to the water. I'm going to the Y, and I'm going to participate in a swimming and water safety class. That's coming up on Coping with COVID. As usual, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. Today, Jesus says, wait patiently. Wait patiently while I bless you. Don't rush into my presence with time, consciousness, gnawing at your mind. I dwell in timelessness, Jesus says. I am, I was, I will always be. For you, time is a protection. You're a frail creature who can handle only 24 hours at a day. Time can also be a tyrant, ticking away relentlessly in your mind. Learn to master time, or it will be your master. Though you are a time-bound creature, seek to meet me in timelessness. As you focus on my presence, the demands of time and tasks will diminish. I will bless you, Jesus says. I will keep you, Jesus says, making my face shine upon you graciously, giving you peace. That's your Jesus Calling for today, Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, July 22nd, July 21st. I'm Trey Taylor. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Please continue and post and share this out. This was a good one, y'all. The ladies from Alayla, Kim and Sherry, and then Heather with a Yellow Moon. There's been some great information. So please post and share out this Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. Until the next time, I wish you peace, abundant blessings. Take care, stay well, be blessed. Get your vaccine and wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. See you later.
Coping with COVID and In It Together present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.